What's going on, boys? Okay. What's going on, boys? Thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. I've had some time off, and it's been weird because I haven't felt relaxed at all. And I think it's because vacations or breaks or taking time for yourself, none of that means anything if your life isn't already going in a direction you want it to be going in. Taking a vacation, if your life isn't going in a direction you want it to be going in, is like taking a break from being on the Titanic. How restful will you be able to be if your ship is sinking? I am happy not to be working because that wasn't helping either. But this highlights the fact whatever you're doing isn't working. And not too long ago, I made a video about trying different things once you realize something isn't working. The main mistake of that video was thinking the answer is other people. And I don't think it is. Even if you narrow it down to good people, whatever that means. You know, it's almost like there's an answer looking you straight in your face, maybe two answers that you need to come to terms with, but you refuse to. It's like the Uncle Ruckus Stinkmeaner thing. The only certainty is something is very wrong. And I don't think it's just me, because I've been looking around YouTube, and I had this idea of what YouTube is. YouTube is representative consensus. YouTube is like a series of baronies on big, empty, windy plains. YouTubers say what they're feeling, and what they're feeling is usually what their constituency is saying, or constituents are saying. I think they're both right? Social media is the most in-your-face expression of the collective unconscious there is. Individuals, paperclip Ukraine motherfuckers, can say whatever they want about this Hope Corps shit, this this James Gunn Superman shit. They'll go on and on and on about positivity and all this. But that's not the way they feel. That's not the way anybody feels inside. And you can feel it, and you can hear it, and you can see it in the people who become popular for voicing opinions. And the opinions being voiced are grim. Right? These people, me included to a lesser extent, not by choice, mind you, are profiting off saying things people feel but don't want to be caught saying, or maybe don't want to believe for themselves. But they think it and feel it anyway. And I was thinking about it. I don't think this is a seasonal thing. I don't think this is... I mean, hard to explain. We talked about the collective unconscious. It feels like this is the message getting pushed through collectively right now. Something is wrong. It's not just me. It's not just the seasons. I don't think it's any one specific thing. I think it's the fabric of everything. It's weird hearing lots of YouTubers expressing the same sentiments I'm expressing. The stagnant morale thing we talked about a week ago. It feels like as people, or as nations, we are like an engine that has run out of oil, or is really close to running out of oil. This won't end well for us as individuals or as a collective. But I think there's a hope here that it won't end well for us as a collective before it doesn't end well for us as individuals. Because If you are one of the zebras on the edge of the herd that gets turned into a statistic early, nobody cares, or people will blame you for what happened to you. Even though what happened to you is exactly what will happen to them soon. Now, I happened to be one of the edge of the herd zebras because I couldn't hack it. Now, I didn't die. I haven't been put away. But prophets of the gloaming, experiencers of the pre-collapse, are in a funny position in society. It's painful knowing you're playing a game that is set up for you to lose, and is such a bad game, it's falling apart, but it hasn't fallen apart yet completely, and also you as an individual can't do anything about it. So you are on the Titanic with a constant and crushing knowledge you and others will soon be going down with this ship. Either individually, which would be worse, or all together, which would be better because at least you can watch people you hate get fucked by this collapse. And I think on that collective unconscious level, that is exactly what everybody is feeling. There is something wrong. Something isn't working. But what specifically is going on, it's hard to parse. It's almost like, again, there is some existential issue, or maybe answer, two of them, staring you directly in your face that you don't want to come to terms with. So much so that you can't even acknowledge them, so you need to try to figure out something else, anything else. And that's another thing. People talk about the 7 deadly sins. Are they really deadly? Are they really sins? This is how fucking dumb society is, how dumb people are. The 7 deadly sins are the only things that get you up in the morning. These are the things you fight for. These are the 7 reasons to be alive virtues. Leave it to dumb Abrahamics to vilify the essence of what makes a human a human. Because if you can keep everybody in a constant state of guilt for what they are at their cores, so much easier are they to control. 7 deadly sins, mine is pride. Without pride, I wouldn't give a shit about what happened to anything. Do you understand that? You should be thankful for your humanity. You shouldn't hate it and backstab it and betray whoever or whatever gave it to you. It's the only reason you're alive. It's the only reason you have a shot, even the fantasy of anything worthwhile. Anyway, there's a pressure building. It feels like time is running out. You're on the Titanic, the water is up to your knees, and now you're thinking maybe the ship is actually sinking. And I was thinking about this too. Everybody acts like they have an answer to all this shit. Do you think anyone who knew how to get off the sinking ship would still be on the sinking ship and would be sticking around and making no preparations to get off the sinking ship? The people who know exactly what's coming and what to do about it and can do something about it, my bet, and this shouldn't even be a bet, this should be obvious, and I don't know why it's not obvious. I don't know why I'm thinking about this now, realizing that, well, I mean, you know this in your core, always know it, but you don't have the words for it. It's not clear, you just smell stink on people. They're gone. They're done. They knew what to do and they could do something about it, and they did it, and they're fine. The problem is you are still in the getting fucked boat. What was that stupid movie about the liberals and the conservatives killing one another on the hunting preserve thing? That movie was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. At least at its core. Despite being one of those not offending anybody movies, really. I liked the core of it because main character woman, and I love white trash women, especially in the capable and deliciously weathered camp. Thinking about it, that's a prophetic movie. What does she do when all this dumb shit she has nothing to do with, but is stuck in, against her choice, against her will, is going down, falling apart? What does she do? She takes things completely into her own hands and gets out, figures something else out. I think she dies at the end, right? They both die? I don't remember. That's you. You didn't ask to be in this situation, you didn't have any choice in it. You don't have any stakes in this larger bullshit that's going on. But if you stay where you are, or if you do what the dumb motherfuckers around you are telling you to do, you're done. I don't know why this is, but I always feel like I need permission to take my life into my own hands. Or I need to wait until I can't wait for permission anymore. And that's got to be something people drill into your head to keep you in line. That's probably one of the reasons I admire sociopaths the way I do. For whatever problems they may cause to a system that is rigged against them, the same way it's rigged against you, except you're more submissive and brainwashable, they model the way you need to be, if you want the chance of surviving anyway. Getting control of your life and putting it on a track that will give you momentum, so when you take a break, you can actually rest because the ground underneath you is still moving in the direction it's supposed to be moving. Not in the position I'm in, which is taking a break in the middle of a house that's burning down. I would be fucking people over for my benefit on a massive scale if I didn't have these shitty fear governors in my head. Do you remember Fallout 3, the Mr. Gutsy in the Underworld, I think it is? What's the town? I haven't played Fallout 3 in forever. But I remember that character talking about wanting to, well, not liking everybody around him, and he would do something about it if it weren't for his inhibitor. You have the option of disabling the inhibitor, and then he expresses his contempt for people around him. I wouldn't express my contempt in that fashion. I'd try to go more of the scamming route, but I have the same problem. I have multiple inhibitors. And it's doing you no favors. They're doing you no favors. Those inhibitors would be great if the system worked, if it were in your favor. But it's not. The system isn't. People aren't. I remember when I was in jail. And that, well, okay, we'll get to that. I got to a point I was pacing circles nonstop in my cell for hours. And I thought pacing and thinking was a normal behavior. I've known for a while it's not, but it's weird when fluoride thugs are staring at you and looking at you with contempt and confusion, suspicion, because that's really not something people do. Anyway, I'm pacing and I'm thinking and I'm planning out all the different ways this can go. I'm trying to put together models for how my life could turn out depending on how this all plays out. I feel like I'm in a similar situation, except well, not a little bit, admittedly a lot. There's really nothing I've ever experienced that compares to the fear and discomfort of institutionalization, especially in that context. Those fucking animals, I wish the worst on all of them. There's some moments you make these ultimatums, every day is a gift or some shit. In 99.99% of situations, those resolutions or understandings are bullshit. For me, my life, I think about jail and prison and I immediately feel a little bit better about whatever's going on. So, if nothing else, that's a nice thing to have. Comes with costs, though. I feel like I'm doing something similar now. I am pacing circles, watching the ship sink, watching the water rise, and knowing this isn't working, but I need to do something. And I am wasting my time on shit that I know won't work, but is not risky. I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like someone's trying to kill me. I don't want to take risks. Right? I would rather try to convince myself of some dumb, sentimental shit, even if I put my own spin on it. Right? That's like putting your own soy sauce on someone else's plate of human shit. It's still shit. And on some level, even if you manage to convince yourself a little bit, you know the truth. The only real answer now is to do something or to build a system that is risky and not what the drowning people or about to be drowned people are doing. I really feel like I'm being watched. Okay, I took a piss. I am armed. The problem with all this is you won't do anything really risky until you have no option but to do something really risky. But you really should do something really risky right now. But one, I don't know what to do. And two, one of my problems, I'm practice guy. I'm study guy. I will study for something or I will practice for something for 5 years before I start doing it, even though I know from personal experience. I was thinking about this last night. We were talking about this on that stream the other day. But I refined the thought a little bit more. Practice, all the practice you do, is to make your first week or month of doing something easier. You will never master anything practicing. You'll also never even reach to an intermediate level practicing, right? Excessive practicing is like lifting weights, but only using the bar your entire time. Thinking only or using only the bar for 5 years will one day allow you to bench 2 plate. That's not the way it works. The only way you'll learn real valuable knowledge is in the doing it. But for some reason, even though I know all practicing does is make the first few steps of a 1,000-mile journey easier, my instinct is to practice incessantly. But I know exactly why that is. It's because I'm terrified of risk, and practicing is a way that allows me to feel like I am making progress without taking any real risk. But you know shit's bad because that illusion isn't working anymore. You don't have enough wiggle room to delude yourself. You don't have enough money to afford illusions. You need to do something now. Because right now, it's like walking through a minefield. You are taking a chance, and odds are good you step in the wrong direction, you'll blow up. That's the risk you're taking. The reward is getting out of the minefield. But the problem with wanting to stay in one place is these are replicating mines, and the minefield is coming closer and closer to you. The mined water is rising. So your options are maybe to lose, or probably even to lose right now by taking a risk, some risk, any risk, or certainly to lose at some point in the future, probably sooner than later. I have no idea why I'm like this, but you know it's bad when I am seriously entertaining looking to other people for answers. You are a biological experiment. You are a genetic failure and a mimetic failure playing a survival game. My point is, you're thinking about all these higher minded, noble, or divine goals or some shit. The only goal is survival, and you don't have the room to even to think about this higher minded shit. You should be focusing on just survival. Right? That is more than enough of a challenge for you. And you know you're in deep shit because everybody else on the boat, or at least most other people on the boat, are worse off than you are. Don't fall for the everything will be alright game. Nobody thinks it'll all be alright. If everyone thought what they were telling each other, what they were presenting themselves to be or to think, then the collective unconscious mood would not be what it is. And your feet and calves and kneecaps wouldn't feel as wet as they do. Because that's the other thing to remember in all this. Remember earlier I said it would feel much better for us all to go down together, both out of spite and also out of this at least I'm not dying alone thing. Everybody wants everybody else to die with them. I think that's what all this is under the surface. Maybe people don't even realize they're doing it. Don't let them drag you down into the water. It's sink or swim, and you need to do something. And maybe like me, you content yourself, or try to content yourself, with the idea you are doing something, and then you'll list off a bunch of shit that you think qualifies for going above and beyond, but it's not really getting you anywhere. And you know that because you can feel it. You can still feel this dread and fear and sinking in the background. You especially need to do more. It'll be good enough when you know it's good enough, when your feet are dry. But the biggest problem of all this is I have a feeling it'll never be enough. I don't know what the law or the mechanic is called, but when something huge sinks and it pulls everything down with it, I don't think you, unless you're fabulously lucky, which is the chance you're gunning for, will have enough force to reach exit velocity, to get away from the sinking ship without being dragged down with it. I think for most of us, even if you manage to be super high performing, unless you are superhumanly high performing, you're done, probably. But we've gone through multiple but the real problem or the big problem is. Now we're getting to but the torment is it'll never be over until you're dead. That's the torment of it. Because at least if it were over, definitionally, used in a sentence, it's over, you could maybe find some peace. But that's not going to happen. Unless you want to die. Your life will be dragged out and stretched out through a taffy puller, and once powerless, made to endure whatever it is will hurt you most. Because this is hell. This is where we are. Do you know why, or probably one of the reasons why, No Solution and No Salvation hit the way they do? Aside from the fact they work as everything on every level anytime we need anything. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. Same idea. Well, no, it's not the same idea. Maybe it's the same idea. I don't think it is. That one has a more strictly or pointedly tormentous attitude to it. No Solution, No Salvation is the sort of torment you torment yourself with. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here is like getting thrown into the torture dimension. No solution, no salvation is like putting a ball stretcher in front of somebody and you have nothing else to do. I mean, really, that's what consciousness, that's what being alive is. You have nothing else to do but to torture yourself with the idea of powerlessness and death, so you better get to it. But it's not even the idea of it, see, it is the fact of it. And trying not to torture yourself with it is another form of torture. There's no getting out of the torture. There's no solving it, and there's nobody coming to save you from it. However, there are positive, or there can be positive connotations to our banner in terms of service to divinity, but that's a different conversation we've had before. Anyway, ships sinking, everybody's aware of it. It's becoming harder to hide from your own awareness of it, as is the case with everybody else. You better start doing something about it, and you'll know when you're on the right track when you are scared and uncomfortable. For good reason, because you'll probably fail. But, again, at least right now, it's a probably and not a certainly. Gamble while you still have odds. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.